So they're not planning on sending a day starter with something like that here?
Right. As in, do we want to leave? They have the tree down. She installs their leaves right now. It's cut.
Right.
So she really wants to go around.
I'll let them know. Hey, it's Melanie for Kenny. Okay. He was just looking for an update. He said that you guys aren't planning on sending a day cider. So. Ashley says we're clear to come back. Mm-hmm.
Is that till the end of the show?
I'll call Chris.
Do the other.
Right. Yeah, I'll call him.
You guys. www.youtube.com/NASA television, and then just click on the associated Live Now link. And something we'll be using for future launches as well. The Atlas V that we've got on Space Launch Complex 41 today is a two-stage rocket, as we've heard, an Atlas and a Centaur. Here we see those being stacked into a 14-foot diameter payload fairing. 7,626 pounds of NASA cargo on board. It's the fourth flight of the enhanced Cygnus. And it's 21 minutes from the time the Atlas lifts off until it's in low Earth orbit. We're at T-minus 4 minutes and holding. This is Atlas Launch Control.
Hey guys, thanks so much for joining us here on Fox 5 Live. My name is Nevola. I'm here joined by Grace Richardson.
Hi.
Hey Grace, say hi to our viewers. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We are going to go back to this NASA launch. It's T-minus 4 minutes right now from Cape Canaveral, so that's an exciting launch. We thank you guys for joining us for that. And then we're going to jump it over to another cool live event here in DC. George Washington University is hosting Secretary of Homeland Security John Kelly. He's going to be speaking about Homeland Security right here in DC live, and so we're going to jump over there shortly. But Grace, let's talk about you for a second. What's up with you? You are here joining us from where?
Lovettsville, Virginia.
Okay.
So about an hour and a half west of DC.
Awesome. And what are you doing in the Fox 5 newsroom?
I'm a news intern, so I am just shadowing reporters. I'm helping Molly out, doing anything I can to just get my feet wet and jump into the news world.
Totally. So she's jumping into the digital world today. This cool little digital room that we got going on for you, bringing you live events and breaking news from all over DC, all over the nation, all over the world. I do see that this rocket launch is coming up, so we're going to kind of wait for that. It's kind of cool. This is the SS John Glenn. They're naming it in honor of John Glenn, and they're launching 7,600 pounds of cargo up to the International Space Station over in, they were saying in the sort of the southern channel outside of England is where it's sort of like located up. And they have people monitoring it, obviously from Houston, from somewhere north of Boston. So there's a lot of people on the ground kind of watching this launch, and it's a cool thing. Let's go over back to that really quickly.
And briefly state the reason.
We're going to bring some sound back on that too and let you guys listen as this launch happens in just a couple minutes.
Scott Barney briefing his final briefing to the launch team.
LCSTS.
Go.
Davis Systems, cameras configured for launch.
Roger. OSM, verify the FCO, RCO, and OSM home fire switches are in the proceed position.
Ready to proceed.
Redline monitor and event table are in the correct configuration for terminal count.
Roger.
Launch on time verified.
Roger. RC, verify solar radiation acceptable for launch.
Verified.
LC, switch ready. All steps are complete prior to the status check.
And upon liftoff, we'll hear our launch vehicle Domo 2 systems engineer, Marty Malinowski, calling the flight events. Right now we're hearing our ULA launch conductor, Scott Barney, going through the countdown.
Status check to proceed with terminal count. Respond go, no go. Atlas systems, propulsion.
Go.
Hydraulics.
Go.
Pneumatics.
Go.
LO2.
Go.
Water.
Go.
Centaur systems, propulsion.
Go.
Pneumatics.
Go.
LO2.
Go.
LH2.
Go.
ASGAS.
Go.
Electrical systems, airborne.
Go.
Ground.
Go.
Facility.
Go.
RFFTF.
Go.
Flight control.
Go.
COM.
Go.
Timer.
Go.
GCQ.
Go.
Umbilicals.
Go.
ECS.
Go.
Red line monitor. Go. Quality.
Go.
Ops safety manager.
Go.
ULA safety officer.
Go.
Vehicle system engineer. Vehicle
Go.
system engineer at 1. Roger. Anomaly chief.
AC is go.
Range coordinator.
Clear to proceed.
Launch director.
Launch director is go, and you have permission to launch.
Proceeding with the count. Timer set count to start at 15:07:26 Zulu. T0 is planned for 15:11:26 Zulu.
Roger. Count will start at 15:07:26 Zulu. T0 is set for 15:11:26 Zulu.
All steps are complete prior to terminal count.
And we heard our go for launch from ULA Launch Director Bill Cullen. About a minute away from picking up the countdown at T-minus 4 minutes. Weather is go. We'll get a final go from the range at L-minus 1 minute. "15 seconds from coming out of the hold."
On my mark, the time will be T-minus 4 minutes and counting. 3, 2, 1, mark.
T-minus 3 minutes, 55 seconds.
Ground pyros enabled.
All the status boards right now in the Launch Control Center showing green. T-minus 3 minutes and counting.
That was thanks to flight.
2 minutes, 50 seconds.
FDS internal.
Securing L2 topping.
Gyro's going from manual to automatic at this point. on the rocket. At 25 seconds, we'll get a final go from the launch team.
T-minus 1 minute, 59 seconds.
Vehicle internal.
55.
On sequencer start.
150.
Securing Centaur LH2.
Securing Centaur LO2.
Countdown now on
140.
automatic.
Launch enabled.
137.
FDS armed.
130. 120.
OCUs armed.
SCS count started.
115. 110.
Vent valves locked.
T-minus 1 minute.
Rock, report range status.
Range green.
54.
Range is go, including weather. Final go pulled at 25 seconds.
40.
Stable at step 3.
T-minus 30 seconds.
28. 25.
Status
Go
check.
Atlas.
Go Centaur. Go OA7.
20.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Go for main engine start. 1, 0, and liftoff of the Atlas V rocket with Cygnus and the SS John Glenn, extending the research legacy for living and working in space.
Speeds and injector pressures look good. HER roll program has begun. Body rates look good. Booster engine continues to look very good. Pump speeds and injector pressures advanced. D180 continues to perform well. Now requesting an acceleration change. Booster has begun the zero angle attack phase of flight. Pictures look good. Body rates are right down the middle. RD180 performance continues to be nominal. Mach 1.
Vehicle now going through the sound barrier.
Max Q. Body rates continue to look very good at this point in flight.
Vehicle hitting maximum dynamic
Booster has
pressure.
throttled back, right on schedule. Signatures look good.
Engine throttle
Current
back going through
altitude
max
is 11
Q
miles.
as customary.
Range distance is 5.5 miles. Current velocity is 1,929 miles per hour. Range track shows good progress right down the middle of the corridor. Booster engine performance continues to look very good at this point. EU control is near nominal. Body rates look good. Steering has been enabled at this point. Body rates look good. The vehicle is now 1/2 of its liftoff weight.
2.5 minutes into the flight.
Steering has begun. Body rates look good. And we've fired the RCS pyro valve. That system is now pressurizing to flight levels. Signatures look good. Current altitude is 29 miles, downrange distance 39 miles, current velocity 4,325 miles per hour. Booster has begun to throttle to maintain 3.5 Gs. Closed loop steering has begun. Body rates look good. Vehicle is now 1/4 of its liftoff weight. RD-180 continues to perform well. Mixture ratio looks good. Boost phase chill down has begun. And boost phase chill down has completed. Went up on BECO momentarily. And we have BECO. Engine shutdown looks good. We have stage separation. We have LOX and fuel pre-start. We have ignition and full thrust on the RL-10. Payload fairing jettison has occurred. Looks like a clean step. Centaur steering has been enabled. Body rates look good.
Data now coming in from the New Hampshire tracking station.
Miles, downrange distance 317 miles, current velocity 10,050 miles per hour.
Still data coming in from the Cape as well.
Centaur PU is requesting an oxidizer-rich condition at this point. Chamber pressures, LOX pump discharge, and venturi are within band. Hydrogen system line temperatures are warming towards bottle temperature.
Ready.
And we have a quick report of Atlas first stage performance. It was plus 106 pounds of PE for 0.33 sigma high. We have begun seeing our thermal conditioning fairings on the RCS. Now controlling near nominal mixture ratio also. Engine response looks good. Set MR.
Centaur now steering and powering the rocket.
Centaur is completing the dogleg maneuver. Body rates are now controlling down the middle. Dogleg is complete. And Centaur has begun to roll to optimize telemetry. RL-10 chamber pressures, LOX pump discharge, and fuel venturi all look good.
7 minutes into the flight now.
Centaur currently is flying at an altitude of 191 miles. Downrange distance is 685 miles. Current velocity 10,538 miles per hour.
All right, guys. I don't know if you guys are nerding out as much as Grace and I are right here, but we are watching this, And it is wild. Thanks
First
for joining
burn
us
of
here at
Centaur
Multi-Live.
is scheduled for
Bringing this
13
live
minutes and
from
42
NASA
seconds in
TV.
duration.
You heard him over 10,000
All systems
miles
continue
an
to look
hour.
very good at this point.
And they're 7 minutes into this flight. I think it's so rad to see like the curve of the Earth right there.
Oh, yeah.
When the camera hit
Continuing to observe our thermal conditioning firings on the RCS. Signatures look normal.
Super cool. So it looks like we'll have this for a while because we do have the camera.
Centaur has completed the roll to optimize telemetry.
On
going right down the middle at this point. Range track shows good progress down the expected corridor.
So we're hearing some of the
About another 10 minutes on the Centaur burn. Centaur cuts off at 18 minutes into the flight. We're just over
Centaur
8.
PU limiting has completed. Now actively controlling MR. Still near nominal at this point.
crazy. I don't even know. Are you kind of a NASA nerd too? Are you a science? What's your?
Well,
you were learning
Interstellar is
this.
about the extent of my science.
There you go.
Astronaut
Interstellar.
experience,
Yes,
but-
totally. I honestly think we were literally sitting in here like mouth gapes, like looking at this. I don't know how wild this is. It's so cool, but.
Our tank pressures, bottle pressures are all stable. Battery voltages look good.
And they named this obviously SS John Glenn.
Centaur currently is flying at an altitude of 219 miles, downrange distance 1,024 miles, current velocity 11,250 miles per hour.
Pretty crazy stuff right there. And what they're doing is resupplying the International Space Station, so periodically, bringing more stuff to it, and that was super cool. I think the coolest part would have been to be on that beach. Seeing that launch, literally sitting there.
So how far were they?
9.5 minutes into the mission.
It didn't look super far to me. This is a crazy camera angle, though. I love it because I was wondering how far they would get before they would lose certain shots, and then they obviously took this camera angle. So
Coming up on the format change momentarily.
Standing by to take TDRS data, TDRS East.
And we have had the format change. Small loss of data has resumed. All signatures look good. RL10, chamber pressures, LOX pump discharge, and fuel venturi all very good. The fuel rich mixture ratio, I apologize, no, that's oxidizer rich.
wow, I can't even imagine what it would look like to see the Earth from that view. I mean, it's just incredible to me that we can even do this. I think I'm still wow.
Range track shows Centaur continuing to make good progress down the expected track. Altitude 223 miles, downrange distance 1,311 miles, current velocity 11,975 miles per hour. Centaur tank pressures continue to look very good. Storage bottle pressures are stable. Batteries look good as well.
Still getting data from the New Hampshire station north of Boston, as well as from TDRS East.
At 700 seconds mission elapsed time, the RL-10 continues to perform very well. Chamber pressures, LOX pump discharge, and fuel venturi all controlling near nominal at nominal MR. RCS fine temperatures continue to warm towards bottle temperatures. Pressures look good. Batteries are stable.
So Grace just alerted me. You guys are looking at sort of like the CGI model of what it would look like, and then you see the stats sort of in the upper corner. So we're actually hiding.
Range track continues to show Centaur making good progress down the expected track.
But you are hearing this guy, the person talking over it out of New Hampshire, so just north of Boston. Some of these facts and stats coming out of their station there, and then the guy who's sort of overarchingly reporting is coming from Houston.
Continuing to see our normal thermal conditioning firings on the RCS.
Pretty cool stuff.
As commented previously, the line temperatures are still warming towards bottle temperatures.
So, like I said,
signatures look
watching
good.
this coverage from NASA TV. We're bringing it in on Fox 5 Live here in Washington, D.C. So you can kind of see slightly behind us this newsroom here in Washington. I'm here with Grace. We move over in the camera. Say hey. Hey. We're going to bring you
About 5 minutes remaining in this Centaur engine burn.
The day and going on in this next couple of hours. And right now we do have another event going on. I'm glad we could cover this rocket launch. Super cool stuff. And thanks, guys, for joining us for that. Right now, also, we have Secretary of Homeland Security John Kelly. He's speaking right here locally at George Washington University about recent international threats and what that means for Homeland Security right now. So he's here at one of our local universities, and Grace is a college student too. You're a senior.
Yes.
At another local university in Virginia, correct?
Patrick Henry College.
Awesome. So she's joining us to explore the newsroom a little more and get into this world. And
14 minutes into the mission now.
So we're going to kind of slowly roll out, I think, of this rocket launch and go over to George Washington University where, like I said, John Kelly is speaking and he's live. We're going to bring you that. And back to NASA, if we have other cool breaking pictures and interesting stuff from their headquarters in Houston, we'll bring you back there. So now jumping over to Washington, D.C., we are at George Washington University.
And will do anything, our departments, to do just that within the law. The drop in illegal immigration is really remarkable. The dramatic reduction is evident across the southwest border. In fact, March apprehensions were 30% lower than February and 64% lower than this time last year. These numbers are lower because we've shown that we're serious about border security and enforcing our immigration laws. We have ended catch and release and also focused on apprehending and prosecuting and
All right, guys, we just got word that we are switching out of that feed. We are no longer with John Kelly at GWU. We're down in Oklahoma, is what we just heard, where a sheriff has been shot and there's currently a manhunt underway. We will bring you more updated information as we have that, but it looks like a breaking situation out of Oklahoma. You can see this footage here. Wow.
these laws, primarily ICE and CVP,
John Kelly. So we were back at John
know they have a job to do and are trained to do it, and are doing it humanely in accordance with the laws as passed by the United States Congress. These dedicated and selfless men and women have the knowledge, the training, and the resources, and this is a big one, they know they have an administration and a department and a secretary that have their back. While we've seen a drop in human smuggling, agencies across our department continue to seize vast amounts of dangerous drugs. At the midpoint of this fiscal year, the Coast Guard is combating a sharp uptick in cocaine flow and has already removed nearly 243,000 pounds that were headed to the United States. CVP has reported a 39% increase in cocaine seizures for a total of over 43,000 pounds. They've also seen an increase in heroin and methamphetamine seizures. And again, it's only halfway through the fiscal year. When you consider that CVP seized an average of 4 tons of drugs every single day in 2016, and that number is going up, you see our nation has a serious, serious drug problem. We need a national and a comprehensive drug demand strategy and a commitment to reduce drug demand in the United States. And I don't mean arresting our way out of this. I mean, it's a comprehensive plan to reduce drug demand. A focused effort that not only employs the full measures of the federal, state, and local governments, but also Hollywood, professional sports figures and teams, high school coaches, Boy and Girl Scout leaders, and community activists, as well as law enforcement like the FBI and DEA in their Chasing the Dragon program, as well as priests, pastors, rabbis, and imams to lead their flocks. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, it all begins at home. Parents have got to be more engaged in what their children are doing, whether it's on the internet or taking drugs, experimenting with drugs. The time is now because this president has recognized this problem, and he has signed an executive order establishing the President's Commission on Combating Drug Addiction, of which I am part. One of the things we're certainly trying to do, and I will never point fingers at the source of the immigration, but we have deterred successfully a huge amount of illegal immigration coming up from the Central American countries. But for the most part, they leave because there is no economic opportunity there for them. So we're trying to get at that issue as well. We, along with the State Department and others, are hosting a conference in Miami in the middle of June. We'll have, Mexico is helping us co-host. We'll have all 4 of the Central American countries in question attend there. The Inter-American Development Bank, Ambassador Luis Moreno is fully on board with us. We'll have European partners come in. The Canadians and the Colombians will come down, as well as Panama and Costa Rica will come in as observers. What we're going to try to do is have a conference to stimulate economic development and investment in the 3 countries, Honduras, El Salvador, and Guatemala. And in that way, try to create an environment in those countries where people...
All right, guys, we are going to break in here to Secretary John Kelly, who is sort of at the tail end of his speech, and go over to a breaking news situation out of Coyle, Oklahoma. We're going to bring that to you now. These are some live pictures that you're seeing. Down in Oklahoma, what we're hearing is, we don't have a ton of information on this. You can see this raw video is kind of moving. Everything you're watching is live. We do know that the Logan County Sheriff's Office in Coyle, or in this area in Oklahoma, confirms that a deputy has been shot. So we're reading on this specific cross street, I-35 and Mulhall Road, and there's currently a manhunt underway. We're going to bring you that information there, that little chyron there. So this is the scene down there. You can see sort of lots of police cars, video kind of scrambling to get footage, a couple choppers. Yeah, I think you're right. See if we can find out from here. More than that, but we'll bring you more calls if we have it.
One of the people that I was going to talk to us here in just a bit. You all right, buddy? Yeah. And they want to know if we can take that live. You okay? You all right though? Yeah.
You still want us? Can you dial me in? Hello? Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I said, well, Ben was calling me at the same time. Try it again. Sorry. There we go. I have you.
Well, again, Alex, we are just off I.
All right, sorry guys, we just lost that feed right before that reporter went up. I believe it was possibly a reporter from another station or something. So you're looking at a bump shot of Phoenix, Arizona. Again, not a lot of information on this manhunt in Oklahoma. But if we do find out more, we'll bring that to you. Sounds like a deputy sheriff, if you're just joining us, was shot by a man, they're saying, in Coyle, Oklahoma. And we don't have much more info than that. So we're going to jump it back to GW, George Washington University here in Washington, to bring you Secretary John Kelly, who's speaking about the state of Homeland Security and current affairs, international threats, and whatnot. But he is right here in our hometown in Washington, D.C. at the university. So back over to George Washington. Here he is.
When you do those things, what do you expect? All of this stopped on January 20th. It stopped with President Trump, and it stopped with me. My people, the men and women of this department, do a difficult and at times nearly impossible job in the service of the American people. They deserve our nation's thanks and respect. They deserve to be proud of the jobs that they do. We are moving in exactly the right direction. Why? Because the best way to improve morale is to let employees do the jobs they were hired and trained to do and recognize them for doing those jobs. We will never apologize for enforcing and upholding the laws of this country. We will never apologize for carrying out our mission. We will never apologize for making our country more secure. We ask nothing more than respect and support. We don't do this for the thank yous. We seldom get thank yous. We do this to keep America strong, secure, and free. We live in a dangerous world, ladies and gentlemen. Those dangers are increasing, not decreasing, and changing speed and direction every single day. But every day we are vigilant, every day we are prepared, every day we do our jobs. So with that, I will close and say thank you for the opportunity, GW, to come up here and make these few comments. But in particular, I want to thank the men and women, over nearly 250,000, that do the job at DHS every single day. You're all important. In my personal opinion, you're all heroic. You're all great public servants, and keep on charging. Thanks very much.
Well, since you mentioned you rarely get the thank yous, let me thank you for a phenomenal tour de force covering a whole range of issues that the department grapples with day in, day out. So thank you, Mr. Secretary. And let me also acknowledge we have a couple of your predecessors here. I see Secretary Chertoff in the front. I see Jane Lute sitting next to Judge Webster, one of my oldest mentors. We've got our newly confirmed Deputy Secretary Elaine Duke. Congratulations. Kirsten, one of our senior fellows. So we've got a great group of people here today. So I thought I'd start with a question that cuts at the actual title of today's event, the home and away. And you had mentioned in particular discussing cyber, the interconnected risk that we face today. Can you expound or expand a little bit upon sort of the home and away game? And obviously DHS has a very significant international role, but how do you see that coming together, especially since just before you came to the department, you're a combatant commander at U.S. Southern Command, which obviously shares a number of those risks. So how do you see the military component interact with DHS, and more generally, the risk that we're facing today?
I would just offer a story. A very, very good friend of mine, his name is Jay Johnson. And I was in Southern Command, and that particular that command is responsible for interacting with our great partners in Central America, South America, the Caribbean. And it was during the big UAC crisis, the unaccompanied child crisis, I think it was 14. Jay had just taken the job. He called me up one day and he said, and I'd been in my job at Southcom for a period of time, and he called and he said, Kel, you got to help me out here. What can you do to stop all of this illegal immigration and all of the drugs and all the rest of it that's coming up into the United States? And I said, Jay, where are you right now? And he said, well, I'm in Texas. I'm on the Rio Grande border. And I said, well, which way are you looking? And he said, well, I'm looking south. And I said, well, I tell you what, why don't you meet me in Guatemala on a river, and you and I can stand on that river and look north, and you will see an entirely different perspective as to the problems of drugs, violence, and illegal immigration. And to his great credit, he did that the next week, and we stood there on the river between Mexico and Guatemala. And that began a relationship that Jay and I, we tried to VTC weekly. We didn't pull it off weekly, but certainly a couple times a month. We talked almost every week on various issues, sometimes more than that. By contrast, and this gets to the military piece, by contrast, with the exception of running detention ops at Guantanamo Bay, which was my responsibility, very, very proud of that mission that I accomplished with my people, very proud of the men and women that do a great job down there every single day in Guantanamo. But with the exception of Guantanamo, in 39 months, I never had a conversation with the Secretary of Defense about Southcom. But I had weekly conversations, sometimes more often than that, with the Secretary of Homeland Security. So the reality in that part of the world where there is very, very little possibility for state-on-state violence, but a huge partnering responsibility, and very, very proud to say that that while I was there, my predecessor, certainly Admiral Kurt Tidd, who's there now, carries on that tradition of tremendous partnering. And Kurt Tidd and I, Admiral Tidd and I, now the commander of Southern Command, speak frequently. Again, the same relationship.
When we were in the green room prior to your remarks, we chatted very briefly about the Terror Screening Center and some of the capabilities that are being brought to there. And in your remarks, you talked about operationalizing intelligence. Could you expand a little bit in terms of how these pieces are coming together? Are we fully utilizing the capabilities that are there? And I mean, obviously the intent is always to get there before the bomb goes off, and intelligence is the lifeblood for our campaign against terrorists or transnational criminal enterprises. So what sorts of steps do you see there from a terror travel perspective? And then speaking about our partners in Mexico, it started a little bumpy. Can you give us a sense of where that bilat is, U.S.-Mexico, right now?
Well, let me start with the Mexican relationship. I mean, Mexico, when I was in Southern Command, was not part of the Southern Command set of partners that I interacted with. However, I interacted with their military frequently, conferences, things like that. I have friends in the senior levels of the Mexican military. I knew a number of ministers within the Mexican government. So when I took this job, I made it a point to get to Mexico, Central America, then Mexico, very, very quickly to maintain the tremendous relationship that we do have. They're great partners along the southwest border with our CVP and local law enforcement. They're great partners in counterterrorism. They're great partners in working with our law enforcement and intelligence agencies, sharing information. We help them, they help us. Last year, they stopped, took into, apprehended or detained and then sent back to their home countries 160,000 Central Americans before they ever got beyond 100 miles from the Guatemalan border. They're great partners. And I think that continues. I don't think there's I'm increasingly close to the new Mexican ambassador to the United States. I met him first in Mexico City when I was down there with Rex Tillerson. I don't think there's a Mexican, I hope, there's not a Mexican official that comes to Washington that doesn't drop by. I'm going to Mexico for a second visit here pretty quick. We are in good shape, in good coordination, in good partnership with the Mexican government, the Mexican military, Mexican law enforcement. And they're suffering, again, from our drug demand, and we have to recognize that. On the issue of terrorism, I'm comforted by what I now know are the capability of Department of Homeland Security. I mean, I've been around a long, long time and been in a fair number of fights. But I take comfort in the fact that this organization, DHS, is so effective in what it does in terms of intel sharing, taking advantage of databases as well as producing our own intel. I would tell you that when a person of interest, that is to say someone who's on a terrorist list, buys a plane ticket in Tokyo and is flying to Abu Dhabi, we know about it. And he's not even coming here. In the information sharing with our European partners, with everybody, it's really, really comforting. And I would just close on the topic by saying, when you hear a report of a family, an individual, whatever, at an airport being refused or being put into secondary screening or being refused entry into the United States, believe me, it's not because of the skin color. It's not because of part of the country or world they come from. It's not because of their religion. It's because someone, something, some indicator, some tipper brought the CVP professional there, and they are professionals, brought them to make a decision to put them into additional screening. It may have been something they said, their story didn't work out. It may have been something on their cell phone that brought the attention, but there's always, always, always more to the story. And I can't tell you the number of phone calls I get from members of Congress telling me about how we're refusing someone's entry at LAX or at JFK because they're Muslim or because they're Arab. It's absolutely not true. We do it for a reason, and you should applaud those men and women for doing what they do.
Awesome. So you mentioned transnational criminal organizations, which I might note has been elevated in your leadership at the Department of Homeland Security, and I think rightfully so. You've mentioned terrorist organizations, both FTOs, foreign terrorist organizations, as well as homegrown extremists. And you mentioned cyber. Anything, not that that's a short list, it's a very, very, very big list, but anything that's missing on that list that keeps you up at night in terms of risks and threats?
I would say the only thing that would keep me up at night, again, when I was at Southcom, I talked about this a lot. Oftentimes told not to talk about it, but I did anyways. This issue of the network that we have already slowed down. In 90 days, we have slowed down. I mean, a 70% reduction in illegal migrants into the United States in 90 days. And we haven't even done anything. I mean, we've done things, but we haven't done the big things yet. But partnering with DOJ, we've made a difference, to say the least, on the southwest border. But this network is so well developed and is so efficient, it can move anything. It moves hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of tons of illegal drugs into the United States every year. Until recently, tens of thousands of illegal immigrants, and that included special interest aliens in unlimited numbers. But it could move other things too. You know, I was oftentimes in the last administration told that no terrorists, the cartels would not allow this incredible network, so efficient, so well developed, that the cartels would never let anyone in that was carrying, say, a pandemic type weapon or biological weapon or a dirty bomb or nuclear weapon, because it would be bad for business. And in a sense, they're right. But as I would always point out, there's a lot of subcontractors in this network. And these guys don't check passports. They don't do explosive residue testing. They don't look in anyone's bag to see if you got the money, you're in. And I said it a lot back then, and I'm trying to do something about it now, that when there is another terrorist attack in our country, if it comes from outside the country, up until 90 days ago, I would say that individual, as we would do the forensics on it, that individual or individuals get into the United States through the southwest border. I'm staying up late at night, every night, to try to prevent that from happening. But that's what keeps me up awake at night.
I mean, the reality is smuggling is smuggling is smuggling.
Right.
And the old joke was, if you want to smuggle in a tactical nuclear weapon, just wrap it in a bale of marijuana,
right.
Given some of our drug seizure challenges. So I think that that's a right issue. And increasingly, you're seeing cartels engage in terrorist tactics, and terrorists are obviously engaged in criminal operations. And on top of whatever else it is, it's a criminal operation. Anything from the counterterrorism environment that you think can be brought to bear? Because when you think of criminal enterprises, and I think you referred to them as dark networks, which they are, if you anything there to understand the business that you think we ought to be bringing to bear, and in the post 9/11 environment, so much in the terror finance, countering terrorism from a financial perspective. Is there anything unique there that can be brought to?
Yeah, you know, a few years ago when Bill McCraven, now retired, but not only a good friend of mine, but a phenomenal gunfighter and warrior, SEAL, he and I collaborated when he had Special Operations Command and I had the command of Miami on drilling down pretty hard on how the terrorists interact with criminal organizations. Once again, told repeatedly to let it go, that it was not a military issue, consequently, don't get involved in it. But what we learned, and we're learning more and more and more, is a nexus, a touching between criminal networks and terrorist networks. We know, as an example, that the money laundering of massive amounts of profit from the U.S. drug demand there are terrorist organizations that make money from that money laundering process. We know, as an example, when cocaine moves into the Maghreb, the terrorist organizations, Boko Haram, that kind of thing, they allow it to pass.
All right, guys, coming back at you in the newsroom here in Washington, D.C. It's Molly along with Grace. Saying, hey, our newsroom is behind us. I want to bring you a little bit of a slightly breaking situation out of our sister station in Chicago. That's Fox 32 Chicago is reporting that this man, Steve Stevens, the Cleveland killer, the man accused of Facebook video killing, reportedly has been found dead. Now, this report is coming from Fox 32 Chicago. Apparently, we're hearing that he has been found dead with a self-inflicted gunshot wound in Erie, Pennsylvania, according to the Erie Times News. That's all we have, literally just that little bit of information. Accused of killing an elderly man, a retiree in Cleveland. You guys have probably been hearing about this. It's a big social media talker, big trending story. So what we have now is just this picture and that report that he is apparently been found dead. We will bring you more information if we find out more, but we wanted to make sure we got that to you. Just saw it right now in the headlines from Fox 32 in Chicago. So we're Fox 5 in Washington, D.C., Fox 5 Live in our digital newsroom, bringing you the live stories and events of the day. I'm here with Grace Richardson. If you're just joining us, Grace is here for the semester, right? The spring.
Yep.
How's everything going for you, Grace? You're good
it's been great. Yeah. I'm an intern, so I've been going out with reporters and tagging along with the digital team and staying involved any way I can.
Yes. Awesome. So we wish we could give you like a shot of this digital newsroom. There's like a lot going on here and a lot of different feeds that we want to bring you. We were just over at GWU University where John Kelly is speaking, but I wanted to make sure we brought you that little breaking story. So now we'll go back to George Washington University. If you guys are still with us, thanks for hanging on and watching. We'll bring you back there, see what comes out of that interview. And then, of course, if anything else comes out of this breaking information about Steve Stevens, we'll bring that to you as well live. Thanks for watching Fox 5 Live.
Involved in outreaching to, the government, God knows, can't do it by itself. In fact, probably could do it less capably if it didn't employ, or couldn't do it as well if it didn't have these partnerships with the commercial realm that I think should get better and better and better and better. But it's nonstop, relentless, and as I say, President Trump has taken that on and is organizing certainly some internal, a commission kind of thing to look at it. I'm really, really impressed with the interest by the United States Congress. Congressman McCall from Texas, as an example, he and his staff extremely knowledgeable, very engaged, as is other aspects of the Congress. But I think it's a whole of government thing, and I think eventually, with the way the president is going, that it'll be a whole of government and a whole of the private realm as well. But as you say, Frank, you can't protect everything. Just before Jay left, he put the electoral system under critical infrastructure. That's controversial. I've tried to explain to people why he did it. and what it really does mean. But it's another one of those. Hey, we're from the federal government. We're here to help. I generally, when I say that, by the way, most people head for the doors, and they should. But the reality is, we're from the federal government on this, and we're here to partner.
Any news on the executive order? Any idea when
I'm
when
waiting.
we can see
We're
that
standing
come
by
out?
with bated breath, rather. Can't wait.
And sort of the another question along the lines of budget, and where I think you rightfully said the department is being tasked with more and more, and arguably getting fewer and fewer resources to be able to deliver on that vast mission.
Yeah.
Where do you see things standing there? How do you see that playing out?
Well,
any concerns with where it?
Yeah, it's always concerns. You never have enough money.
Yeah.
One of the things that Elaine is going to do is get into an efficiency thing. Of course, we have a EO to do that very thing and report out in 6 months. We're going to look at what Jay started, and I'll certainly continue on steroids, and that is a unity of effort within the department to streamline it, to see where we duplicate efforts, acquisition, whatever. It's amazing, the maze that is DHS in terms of different pay scales, acquisition processes. But anyways, Elaine, the number 2, is going to fix all of that in 6 months or less. but I think we have.
All right, guys, we want to bring you back to that breaking story about Steve Stevens, the alleged Facebook live killer. We do have some new information. Check out this tweet from PA State Police. They just tweeted this out. Steve Stevens was spotted this morning by PSP members in Erie County. After a brief pursuit, Stevens shot and killed himself. So the police are saying officially that, we'll put this back up here, that he is dead. So that's official word right there. We did bring that to you. Apparently Fox News is awaiting a press conference, so we'll bring that to you as well, assuming that we do get that live. I think we will, but pretty scary stuff. I mean, this was a big talker yesterday. Yeah. I know people were talking about a possible, every city was having possible sightings and having people report this to police, and people were being checked out if they were him, and even DC had some. I don't know if you heard that. Yeah, was that? It was bigger later in the news. I think yesterday evening. They were talking about people potentially finding information. We're hearing from Fox right now.
We're going to step away from the bump shot in Phoenix, Arizona. We're going to take you to Cleveland, Ohio. We're waiting for police to come out and hold a press conference following the reports that the Facebook murder suspect has been found dead in Erie County, Pennsylvania. Source: this is Fox.
So,
Live Channel 1.
What you guys just heard over your air there is our digital Fox box that tells us what live feeds are coming in. So just like we said, we do have that live press conference that's going to come up in Cleveland. We're going to bring that to you. For now, this is what you have, this official tweet from the PA State Police coming out that he was spotted. Apparently there was a chase, we think, or some type of pursuit is what they're citing, and we're going to hear from officials soon. But yeah, just an overall really scary situation. Let's bring you over to Cleveland here. A raw shot of them setting up for this conference. But yeah, this was just the biggest thing yesterday, and really scary to just see that social media can be used for stuff like this now. I mean, of course it can be. And obviously finding it and getting it off Facebook was a whole kind of thing in itself.
I think Facebook is reevaluating how they handle violent content now because of that.
Yeah, exactly. And we were just chatting about how we both grew up like in the age of Facebook and in the age of, I mean, even more so, like it came
sharing
to my
never happens.
Yeah, social sharing everything, and that, and then Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat and just everything being so at the forefront. It's how people are sharing stuff, and seeing it being shared for bad is really scary, and obviously horrifying in this situation. So like you said, if you're just joining us, guys, that breaking news out of the PA State Police, there's their tweet that Steve Stevens, 37-year-old alleged Facebook Live killer, spotted this morning in Erie County, in Erie, Pennsylvania. So we were hearing reports of that he was found in Erie, Pennsylvania, from GoErie.com initially, and then the Erie Times were kind of spreading the word out there, and then our Fox stations kind of grabbed that information and went with it. So right now you're looking at a live shot of Cleveland. They're potentially eventually going to zoom out, and we're going to get a shot of the press conference, the officials who will chat with us about that. So that's all we got on that. Fox News coming at us with more information saying that it was a self-inflicted gunshot wound is what we're hearing. So found possibly, I guess, after this pursuit, maybe he shot himself. Sure. We'll hear from them to get the official word. Looks like they're setting up now. We'll bring you a little sound. Yeah.
It could have been a distraction. I mean, it could have
I'm sorry, guys.
Cleveland, Ohio, we're going to bring you the official of the police here who are going to be making their statement on this breaking news that the Facebook killer, 37-year-old Steve Stevens, has been found apparently after a brief pursuit, shot himself in the hearing. So we'll hear more information from officials. But really scary stuff, really scary situation. This all just came out. We're finding some tweets on it.
1, 2, 3,
this tweet right
4,
here.
5, 6, 7,
Looks like they're testing out the mics right now, but this is the
9,
first official tweet that
10,
we saw
9,
that he was spotted this morning in
7.
So back over to Cleveland. Stations are starting to file their reports and we're finding that he was found dead. All right, we'll leave you here with you now. How was the last season?
Hold it for me.
That's all.
Alright guys, checking back in with you. You're looking at a live picture of Cleveland, Ohio. We're awaiting a press conference regarding the Facebook killer who has been found dead. That's breaking news about 10 minutes ago. I'm going to bring you over to this tweet that we saw earlier. This tweet in the corner of your screen from PA State Police. That's the first official word that we heard that Steve Stevens, 37-year-old, was spotted this morning in Erie County. So apparently found in Erie, Pennsylvania. We were hearing some initial reports from small outlets there, newspapers there, and then our Fox sister stations in Chicago and Detroit had that news up that he has been found. Apparently there was a brief pursuit that police say here in their tweet. He was shot, or he has been found shot and killed himself. So we will hear from police on this breaking situation in just a few moments. So once again, Cleveland, Ohio, breaking news. Facebook killer found after a brief pursuit and a self-inflicted gunshot wound ultimately has killed him. So we're going to bring you this live now, coming back to Cleveland. Take a listen.
They just like to check that. We're back.
There is no GPS in the vehicle, and also please
I've heard that about you. I did not even receive We changed
Hey, you're in my shot.
Be that way.
Mine your shot? You can be in my shot. You're that good.
I am?
Dude, I'm ready to put the seat in. This with some self-esteem.
Am I still in your shot?
I'm not going to say it.
David, you're living here now?
Yeah. Here this morning, I was just going to see if you guys wanted some photos from this. I didn't even put them in the computer yet. Yeah. So you said she called me.
I'll make different color lights in here.
No.
Do you want me to do your mic check? You're gonna put the seed in for this weekend. The seed? It's going in this week.
All right.
I sent you a link to what I think is going to be a running log.
Okay.
All right, this is the 1 minute warning. So if you're going to interrupt program or anything else, about 60 seconds from now, they'll be walking out. All right.
The 1 minute warning. Yeah, yes, information from Nevola. We'll be live on here.
I just gave the 1 minute.
I'm gonna take a seat and hopefully.
There's more room on the other side as far as the slide over. Before we start.
Okay, good afternoon. We'll be giving another update relative to the Steve Stevens, the Facebook shooter case this afternoon. Please bear in mind that this investigation is in the very early stages, and though we will take questions, there's still some information to be gathered. Speaking this afternoon will be Mayor Frank Jackson, Chief Calvin Williams, Special Agent in charge of the Cleveland office of the FBI, Steve Anthony, and Pete Elliott, U.S. Marshal. Mayor.
Well, we have closure in regards to the search for Steve Stevens. The chief and the other law enforcement will give you the details of that. I want to, again, give our condolence to the family, the Godwin family, and all of its members, and really, again, thank them for the way in which they've handled this very tragic situation, not only for them personally, but for the community as large. Also want to thank the community. There was a lot of support from the community, not only in terms of the family, but in terms of the law enforcement efforts and the kind of information and tips that we were given. And I want to thank our partners, the federal, state, county, local, and other state law enforcement agencies that helped in this regard. And finally, I want to emphasize the fact that this particular incident received a lot of attention, and rightfully so, because it was a loss of innocence, an innocent victim. We, however, have many homicides, not only in Cleveland, but throughout this nation. And ultimately, I believe one of the things this has taught us, that we cannot resolve this underlying issues of violence, particularly gun violence, if we do not function and operate and have the same compassion and commitment that we've shown here as a community. And finally, I want to thank you as the media. You were very helpful to us in keeping things straight, keeping the facts straight, reporting the stories in a way that that really helped us to be able to do our job. So, Chief.
Thanks, Mayor. I want to officially announce that the search for Steve Stevens has ended. At approximately a little bit after 11 today, Pennsylvania State Police officers received a tip that the vehicle that we were looking for, the white Ford Fusion, was in a McDonald's parking lot near Erie, PA. Those officers responded. The vehicle fled from that area. There was a short pursuit in which the vehicle was stopped. As the officers approached that vehicle, Steve Stevens took his own life. We are grateful to the people that gave this tip to the Pennsylvania State Police. We're grateful that this has ended. We would prefer that it had not ended this way, because there are a lot of questions, I'm sure, that not only the family, but the city in general would have had for Steve as to why this transpired. Again, our condolences are still with the family of Mr. Godwin, and you've all heard them on the news lately. They were forgiving, excuse me, they were forgiving of Steve for committing this atrocious act, and then we need to follow their lead. As the mayor stated, there are other victims in this city and around this country, and we continue to work hard to bring closure to those families also. There are a lot of things about this that we don't know. A lot of circumstances that we're still gathering, as Detective Chach said, Sergeant Chach, I'm sorry, stated. We're in the early stages of this. It's been probably less than an hour since this transpired. So as we get that information, we'll get it out. But I know that my partners here, Steve and Pete, would like to come up and say a couple words. Steve?
Just real quick, as we discussed, the goal from 2 o'clock Easter day was to make sure that no one else was a victim of violence by Mr. Stevens. And even though investigation is continuing, we believe that to be the case. That was the #1 goal. Obviously, the other goal was to bring Mr. Stevens in safely, and unfortunately, he chose that not to be the case. So again, we thank the public, as we said from day one, less than 45 hours ago. The public would be key to bringing the tip that was needed to resolve this situation. That's exactly what happened, and kudos to the Pennsylvania State Police for doing an outstanding job and in addressing the tip and bringing this to a conclusion. With that, Pete.
Thanks, Steve. Just real quick, I want to thank all the men and women standing up here for their dedication, but I also want to thank all the Deputy U.S. Marshals, the FBI agents, the Cleveland police officers, all the officers who have been up all night for the last couple nights working on this case, pursuing every single lead. So I want to thank them for their dedication and their service. Thank you.
Before we take questions, just really quick, no information regarding law enforcement tactics is going to be discussed. So we'll open it up now for questions.
Chief, talk to us a little bit more about that pursuit, how exactly it unfolded. I know you weren't there, but
again, we're trying to get that information from the Pennsylvania State Police officers. We initially got the information it was a short pursuit in which the vehicle was stopped. As the officers approached the vehicle, Steve took his own life.
did you suspect it was already there? We had that ping that we talked about yesterday.
We searched that area prior. We searched that area initially on Sunday when we got that ping up in that area of Erie, PA. We were in the process today of going back and doing a more thorough search of that area, both ground and air assets, when this transpired.
You said previously, I know the U.S. Marshals had said either Stevens had killed himself or he was being helped by someone. Do you guys believe that he was being harbored by anyone throughout this 48-hour period?
Again, we don't know. I mean, anybody that's been, that way east in the Erie, PA area knows there are a lot of places to hide. There are a lot of remote areas, there are a lot of woods, farms and barns and things like that. So until we actually can get our investigators up there to confer with the state police officers and really look in the vehicle itself and maybe track back, hopefully some people that may have seen him along the way today, we won't actually know where he was and what he was doing.
Did he shoot himself in the head?
I don't know. We don't know that
Did he
yet.
die on the scene?
Yes, he did.
You had talked this morning about Border Patrol was notified. You didn't know where he could be in the U.S. Is that kind of a diversion? Did you have a better idea? How'd you narrow it down?
I can't comment on that.
If you had narrowed it down, is there a reason why you wouldn't want that information out there to everyone?
Well, we put out the information, first of all, locally here. We put out the information then statewide, and then we came back and we expanded that search. So as we got information through leads, through our investigators that have been working day and night on this, then we expanded that search area.
Chief, is there any information prior to Erie where he was?
Not that we have right now.
Does he have any ties there that you know?
Not that we know of right now, but again, we're taking a slow, cautious approach with this right now. We're making sure that we go back and retrace as much as possible. There may be connections that we don't know about, and if people in that area have maybe seen him and not put two and two together over the last couple of days, we're still encouraging them to call that FBI tip line.
So this was a private citizen who called like 911?
Again, I don't know. When we get that information, we'll get it out to you guys.
Was there a higher level of alert in Erie because of that ping?
I wouldn't say a higher level of alert, but we did have people actually on the ground in that area on several occasions looking at not only the surrounding area, but that immediate area for the ping.
Have you had a Cleveland police presence in Erie since Sunday?
No, not a Cleveland police presence, but our federal partners were engaged in that area.
Are you guys disappointed?
Had he done anything to alter his appearance, for instance, shaving his hair?
Again, I don't know. This happened, again, less than an hour ago. So our investigators are on their way now. We have several of our federal partners already there conversing with the state police in Pennsylvania. And as soon as we get all those details, we'll definitely push that back out.
Have you spoken with the family?
We've spoken with all the families involved, all the people that are really involved in this case. They've been notified, and we ask that you guys give them a little space in this. Because for them, it's not over. So we ask that you give them some space.
Are you guys disappointed that it ended this way? I know you touched on it a little bit, but how disappointed are you?
Well, I mean, this started with one tragedy and ended, with another person taking their own life. And loss of life is a loss of life. We would like to have brought Steve in peacefully and really talked to him to find out exactly why this happened, because there may be other people out there that are in similar situations that we can help by finding out why he did what he did and what kind of drove him to this. And we talked about this a little bit a couple days ago. If there are people out there that are in a what we call sometimes a dark place, or they think they need help, they need to reach out and call. They can call the Division of Police, and we can forward things to our Adams board, our mental health community here in Northeast Ohio. But if you're feeling, not quite right, and if there are things going on in your life that you need assistance with, you need to reach out and call somebody, and we'll get you that help.
The Pennsylvania police said it was a brief pursuit. Do you know what the definition of brief is?
Short.
A lot.
I don't have the exact measurements, but that's the same information we got. It was a short pursuit.
Cruiser
Yes.
with lights and all the whole 9 yards?
Yes, that's the way they're equipped.
Do you know anything about the minutes before that? Was he eating at that McDonald's? Or?
No, we don't have that information. Again, as soon as we get the real finite details of this, we'll get it out to everybody.
We'll be talking with the Office of Public Affairs there too to make sure that we have all the pertinent information to be able to give you guys a little bit more of an update. Like we said, very early in the investigation, the Joint Information Center for media is still open, and it'll stay open. And as we have more information and it's timely, we'll continue to put that out. So thank you.
And one thing before we leave, the marshal hit on it. There were dozens and dozens of officers, not just here in Cleveland, but around this country involved in this. And I definitely want to thank them. I don't think we could have gotten to a resolution this quickly without their help, and definitely without the public's help. That's always crucial in incidents like this. So I want to thank our men and women out there in law enforcement, and definitely thank the people around the country that called in, again, almost 400 tips on this that we had to follow up on. And that just shows the vigilance of the people in this country.
Did the partnerships created by the RNC help you to be able to mobilize quicker with federal resources, FBI, U.S. Marshals?
Well, the RNC was a big test for us, but we had these partnerships long before the RNC. I mean, I've known Steve for over 10 years. I've known Pete for over 15 years. Eric from ATF, Drew. I mean, we've worked together in the city for the last 20 years. So a lot of people talked about us coming together. We're always together. I call these guys and they're there just like that, and vice versa. So there is no disconnect with law enforcement here in Northeast Ohio.
Do you worry with all the attention that's gotten this high-profile case that there could be a ripple effect that other people might be encouraged?
No, we're not. We're not even putting that energy out there. I think everybody has learned from this. I think the people on social media kind of know the power, and I think they know the harm it can do. So we've talked before about people not living their lives on social media and being truthful in social media and not harming people via social media. And, this is a prime example. This is something that should not have been shared around the world, period. And, our kids, although they should not have seen this, I'm sure a lot have, they need to take this as a lesson. We can't do this in this country. We just can't do it.
Chief, in that vein, have you or any of the other law enforcement officials involved had direct conversations with Facebook about how to prevent this, about this particular incident, how to prevent it in the future?
I have not had personal conversations with any social media outlet. We have direct connections with them, but I'm sure this is something that's on the radar, maybe of some of our political leaders, our city, state, and federal leaders out here, to have those conversations, not just with Facebook, but with all social media. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys, you are watching Fox 5 Live. That was live coverage coming out of Cleveland, Ohio. Cleveland police speaking to the press within an hour of finding Steve Stevens, 37-year-old, who was found with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. We heard some minor details of this case, but still a lot of questions remain, obviously. That was quite interesting conference again. A lot of questions remain. I thought it was interesting to see that this all happened within an hour. They cobbled together this conference, and also that the pursuit was short. It was just a short little pursuit. They found him in this car. Not a lot of details on sort of how or where he shot himself, but that he was dead on the scene. So some interesting stuff there regarding social media, of course, big talker.
Yeah, it says that they found there was over almost 400 tips from around the country.
Yeah.
And it was a tip that eventually led the police to find him in Erie. And he was in a McDonald's. Was that?
Yeah,
what it was?
that's what we heard. The McDonald's parking lot, the white Ford Fusion was what they were looking for almost 400 tips. Meaning this story, the video perhaps reached so many people, and people were really on the lookout for this guy. So the first piece of information we got, obviously, the tweet from Pennsylvania State Police just regarding the short pursuit. He has been found dead, and then they took it from there. So pretty amazing, this nationwide manhunt now coming to a close. So Cleveland Police speaking with not too many details, but we're sure some more things will come out of this. We'll bring you that as we have it. But for now, thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for watching this coverage on Facebook Live, on Fox 5 Live. You can join us on our YouTube stream as well for more live and breaking events. We're going to bring you now over to Air Force One has just taken off. We're going to give you a little footage of that live. All right, guys, we want to thank you for joining us today on Fox 5 Live. Thanks for sticking with us through our live and breaking news. Out of Cleveland, I'm Molly Nevola, and this is Grace Richardson here in the newsroom. She'll be helping out from time to time, but we're coming at you live from Washington, D.C., where we want to bring you live breaking events throughout the day, from President Trump and politics to anything else that's happening across the nation, across the world. And you can catch us all. I'm going to give you also my little handle here, Molly, at Molly Nevola on social media. And of course, Fox 5 in general as well, at Fox 5 DC. That's our handle on all social platforms, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook. And you can catch that press conference that we just showed you, of course, also on our Facebook page, where we'll bring you breaking news as well throughout the day. So with that, I think we're going to round out the show. Did you have a good time, Grace?
Oh, yeah.
We started with NASA. We went to breaking news press conference, a little bit of politics in there as well with Secretary Kelly. So we're going to close it out, but have a great afternoon, guys, a great Tuesday. We'll see you back tomorrow and weekdays throughout the day, midday, for live and breaking news. All right. Thanks, guys. Leaving you with a bump shot of the Capitol today.